I'm going to show you today how to take a weaving off of a loom. To make a really nice tight weaving that's going to last for a long time, you want to make sure all your weft threads are pushed up nice and tight. When you get down here to these last few rows, this last inch or so, it can be very hard to get some weft thread in there. So be careful, you don't want to break any of your warp threads, but try to fill in right down to the end of the loom as much as possible. This is about an inch away and this is perfectly acceptable. So we're going to turn it over, and then the first thing you want to do is you're going to take the tape off and carefully unravel these end pieces. And we're going to lay them out straight on the table. And then I'm going to cut these warp threads in the middle. And my friend and I are going to take them and very carefully lay them out evenly on either side of the loom. You want to make sure that they're not caught up in any of the notches on the loom. You don't want them to be tangled up with each other. And here's the last one. Okay. Good. Now, when you take the loom off, you want to take it off gently, because you never know, there might be a stray warp thread that got caught or tangled. You don't want to just jerk it off really fast, because if you pull a warp thread, your whole piece can come apart. Now at this point, your weaving is very unstable, and you don't want to pick it up or do anything to it that would cause any of these pieces of yarn to come loose. If this end piece is particularly long, and this one is, you can trim it down so it's more even with the rest of those warp threads. And now, you just start two at a time, tying them into double knots. Just like you're tying your shoes. You do that first knot, and you pull it snug against the first piece of yarn. And then instead of tying the bow, like you would on your shoes, just tie that double knot again. Okay, and then move that over to the side so it doesn't interfere with any of your other warp threads. And you just keep doing that all the way down the line. So you're going to do that again. Make that same knot again with those two pieces of warp thread. And just move them off to the side. And you want to tie them so they're just snug to that first piece of yarn. Again, you don't want to pull too hard, because you can pull these threads right through, and then you're going to have a problem with your loom, with your weaving. Just continue tying all the way down and moving them out of the way. And then once you get to the end, you're going to have 3 pieces of warp thread, because we have 15 on our looms total. So when that happens, right here, you just hold 2 in one hand, 1 in the other. Just give them a little twist so that it looks like you have 2 pieces of warp thread. And then you tie them in a knot as you would with the others. And that's it. And then you just straighten out your threads. And you want to trim them so that they're about a ½ an inch away from your weaving. You don't want to trim too close to the knots. You don't want to cut the knots off, because if you cut the knots off, then your weaving is going to fall apart. And that's it. Then you just rewarp your loom and start weaving again.